of our church. So, everyone, please. No, that's not. No, you're saying. Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Good Heart Church. Chaplain Keith here with my volunteers, Mary, my wife, who is doing the videos, and my brother Paul, who is the technical support, watching your comments, watching your interaction with this. We thank them for being here and volunteering for this work every Sunday. Today, as you can see on the board, we're going to talk about synchronicity. And it's quite an interesting little thing that we'll get into in just a few moments. First, let's go ahead and each person say a prayer to their deity, and then we will relax into a moment of awareness for whatever it is that we need to bring in today. Take a moment. Say a little prayer to your deity, connecting with them for the day. In this moment of silence. This day, into this message, into this talk, let's start at the top of our heads and relax this jaw. Relax our temples. Relax the forehead and take that crease out between your eyes. Relax your eyelids and your cheekbone. As well as your jaw, dropping your tongue down to the bottom of your mouth so that you can relax right into it. Relax your ears, the muscles around your neck, dropping your shoulders away from your ear. Go ahead and relax your upper arms, your elbows, your lower arms, your wrist, hands, and fingers. Relax your chest and your upper back. Relax your belly and your lower back. Sinking down into whatever it is you're sitting on without forcing yourself. Relax your legs and your hips. Relax your upper legs, your knees, your lower legs, ankle, feet. That you can experience, that you're supposed to experience here today. serving is or being part of that deity, wrapped out others and becoming peaceful and connected in the unified field of life. We're all part of it. Back to where you are. Wherever it is you are in your home today. So we're talking about synchronicity. I just want to read you what Carl Jung is the first person that came through that coined his phrase, and I sort of disagree with part of his description or definition, and I'll tell you why as we go on here. But his definition is meaningful coincidences where internal and external events seem to align that cannot be explained by cause and effect. Well, that is a scientific definition of synchronicity, where science is always trying to find mostly about third dimensional or earthly things. The reason I don't like it because I don't believe in coincidences. Nothing is a coincidence. And some people could call it serendipitous. And serendipitous means occurring or discovered by chance in a happy or beneficial way. Again, chance does not happen. If we remember what we spoke about a few weeks ago about manifestation, we know that everything that happens is manifested. One way or another, we are manifesting. So it's not by chance. It's not by coincidence. It's by us manifesting what is happening in our lives. Each and every one of us. And each and every one of us, being part of a whole, needs to manifest whatever it is in order to create all aspects of the whole. So, what does he mean by meaningful coincidence? Are random, that are not random, but carry a significant personal meaning. That's what, so meaningful coincidences means something that means something to you that only you understand. That things happen for you that only you understand. Well, some people seem to turn everything they touch into quote unquote gold. And they're just maybe they're just taking advantage of the synchronicity in their lives. Maybe they're seeing without even realizing the opportunities and the events and the thought patterns that become synchronous. That's a hard word to say. Any other thing other than synchronicity, but some people aren't even seeing it, but they're taking advantage of it. So that's might be happening with these kind of people because, as we'll find out in a little bit, there are some benefits to paying attention to synchronicity. The idea that we articulate a dream, as I have done here, a dream of starting this church, the universe then gives us synchronistic events to help us create that dream come true. So it goes back to what I was just saying about somebody that turns everything into quote unquote gold or into good stuff. The universe is, once they put that dream out there of becoming the businessman, of becoming the artist, of becoming the chaplain, of becoming the janitor, whatever it is that they are dreaming of, whether it be for work or be for helping others or be for bettering their lives or bettering the lives of other people. Once those dreams are out there, then the things can come to us synchronistically in our lives. And if we pay attention to that synchronicity, it guides us. It'll guide us to be in sync with other people and opportunities and events, and give us the direction when we're indecisive. When we don't quite know exactly where we should go to get to this point, to get to the end of our dream, to get to I've always had a problem that I can put out a long-term goal. And that's not my problem. My problem is all the intermediate goals to get to that long-term goal. And I'm finding out now, as I've grown spiritually, that if I pay attention to the synchronistic events, if I pay attention to the synchronistic opportunities, or just people talking to me about certain things. I'll give you, for instance, it wasn't just a few days ago that I had no idea what I was going to talk about today. And I went to a gathering on Friday evening, and somebody in there did not explain anything. He just said, I'm looking into this synchronicity thing. And boom, that's what I said I needed to talk about. So that in and of itself is synchronistic. I also had an experience in the last 2 weeks where a friend of mine wanted some help. And he knew that I could help him. I carry a commercial driver's license, and he needed somebody with a commercial driver's license to help him. Well, the issue was I could help him for 1 week because I wasn't going to be qualified after that week. And as he said that he would be wanted to have my help for longer than that, all of a sudden I made phone calls, and it wasn't that my license was going to expire. It was other credentials that I needed to keep that license that was going to expire. And I had 1 week to get that situated. I called the people, got in to see the great people immediately without being put out a week or two. I got into to see the second person. I got into to do all these different things, and it took me the entire week, but it all came together. I got the right. I had to go back and forth between a couple of different people to get these credentials situated, and they got situated and finalized on Friday, on the day that it was going to be gone. Everything happened in such easy progression that it was synchronistic. It was something that I thought I was just going to do away with. Didn't give up my commercial driver's license, but I didn't, and now I'm good for another year. That was all very synchronistic to me. That was all part of just working with it, doing the footwork. You still have to do the footwork, as we've talked about before, but it all fell into place. We've talked about these things falling into place in the past talks. So that is one of my most recent experiences. Again, like I said, this church group became very synchronistic. We've talked about the move from Montana to Colorado that was synchronistic, everything falling into place and paying attention. And so synchronicity, I don't know how to, I have a list of things that I want to share with you, but a lot of them I want to sort of break down to the point where some of these things look scientific and like causal connections. Believing that these events are not linked by cause and effect, but through a deeper and acausal principle. Well, what is acausal? Acausal is the opposite of causal. So it's out of the norm cause. That only brings you to spirit. That only brings you to spirit that can do that. Or quantum physics, if you will. because quantum physics doesn't follow the third dimensional physics of Newtonian physics. Inner and outer alignment. Synchronistic events often involve inner and outer. Inner alignment by dreaming, by thoughts, by emotions, aligning with your external stuff, aligning with events outside of you that are coming to you to bring in and create the part of the thoughts and the dreams and the emotions that can be brought together and used, because outside, what we might consider outside forces are being brought to us to help us. So this brings us to the collective, and even synchronistic things can bring, collective things. It can bring us to being connected to people all over the world that we were not even aware of existing. It brings us to people that are in our same mindset and are aware of synchronistic situations, and some people that aren't aware of synchronistic situations, and they might push us away saying, "Oh, that doesn't fit my purpose. It doesn't fit what I'm doing here," because they're unaware of it, but it might still fit yours because you may be aware of it. And so the collective consciousness, if you will, can be affected by synchronistic things of your own individual synchronicities. Can help the collective consciousness because other people have those synchronicities, and all of them being brought together. Some of the most common example of being synchronistic, and I've heard this for years, is when you think of somebody and then all of a sudden they make a phone and they call you. That's, to me, almost more psychic than synchronistic, but it might be that maybe they're interconnected. I don't know, but that's usually the most common example of a simple synchronistic event. Having a random song in your mind, and then you turn on the radio and that song is playing, or it's the next song that plays. Again, that could be psychic, that could be synchronicity. Now, I know someone who sees oftentimes the same number all the time. That number is 444. And that they're saying is synchronistic. Especially when important decisions are being made, or when important events have to happen, that they're seeing this particular number. There is another thing that many psychologists view these synchronistic events as a subjective experience, and it potentially can be explained by psychological tendencies. I don't know about that. That one just gets me, because there is no such thing as coincidences, and because you're manifesting everything in it already, it doesn't seem like it's necessarily psychological. It seems more like it is, to me, it's more spiritual. But take it for what it is. I'm just giving you all aspects of this. So how do we become aware of synchronistic things? Well, the first thing is mindfulness. Mindfulness, a very simple explanation, or very simple definition of being mindful or mindfulness, is being aware of everything around you. So we actually do meditations on mindfulness, where you sit and listen to all the airplanes in the sky that you don't normally hear, or the road, people on the road, or the children playing, or whatever, and you take in all this, and that's a mindful meditation, is to try and bring in all the things that you just never hear but are always there. You live by a railroad tracks and you don't even hear the train going by. But if you become mindful of it, you hear it. Because if you go by and it doesn't bother you, but you're a little aware. So if you start becoming mindful, you're practicing mindfulness, you can then become aware of the synchronicities that you come up with. Um, Engaging in practices like prayer, meditation, journaling, those can all help with becoming more mindful and becoming more aware and becoming more clear on what's around you and what's happening, what opportunity, events, and thoughts and actions that are happening around you that can create this synchronicity. It can also bring to you the awareness of things that you just never even think about. Especially when you're meditating and journaling, you're getting stuff out. You're bringing stuff in and putting stuff out. And you bring stuff in. Sometimes how sometimes all you have to do is get something. You have something on your mind. All you have to do is get it out of yourself for you to be able to move on. And that's what journaling does. That's what talking to people does. And once you get it out, you can see things clearer, or you can become more aware. And that's what journaling will help you with. So it helps you to align with your inner experiences. So, it's an intentional or observation, taking the time to notice unexpected patterns, which is mindfulness. Unexpected patterns in your environment. Being mindful of everything, not just your day-to-day routine, it never changes. We have a habit in this world, especially in the United States. When we get up, we have a coffee, we do our morning things, get ready to go to work, and we go. And it's the same routine every day and every day and every day and every day. Monday through Friday, we go to work. Saturday, we do this. Sunday, we do this. And we're almost feel like a machine doing all those things. We don't become aware of what else is going on around us. So we get stuck in that routine and never veer away from it. And when you become mindful, you start being aware to a point where you can move away from that. And doesn't move away from that. And doesn't mean doesn't mean you don't go to work. It doesn't mean you don't do whatever your Saturday chores are in your Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning situations are. It means that you become aware that you're not afraid to put in an extra little thought or event or something that might not be quite with your routine. And the more you start doing that, the more you become more mindful, the more you see the synchronicities that are around you. So I want you to notice how many things that we talk about in the past several weeks that we've been online all comes back to meditation and prayer. Every time it seems to come back to prayer and meditation. I don't think I have made any talk so far as I have not said meditation will help you with this. And I wanted to bring that to your attention. That meditation is that important in a person's life that it will bring almost anything in. So before we go any further, I'd like to tell you exactly some of the things that might be the benefits of paying attention and being aware of the synchronistic things. As we already said, it helps you to clarify things when you're indecisive. Well, maybe that's also telling you what your purpose is in life, what your passion is in life. Can I become more confident because I'm now paying attention to things and I'm feeling better about myself. My emotions are not as off the wall and all over the place because I feel one with people. I feel that these things are beneficial to me, that they're not that I'm not alone in this. Like in the collective consciousness shows you that you're not alone. These are some of the benefits. Now, there's probably many more benefits, and if anybody has any more benefits they want to put in the comments or speak about here today, that would be a great idea. But those are just some of the basic ones to, you know, find your purpose, make better decisions, be able to have a more intuitive um, um, connections, um, feeling better about yourself to the point you have confidence. You're not maybe not as emotionally scattered. These are some of the things that can help us by being aware of the synchronicities. And of course, those come after you start cultivating the synchronicity, becoming aware of synchronicity. So, with all that said, I did want to put up that first. I want to make sure that you understand that synchronistic events, synchronistic examples are almost limitless in our lives. Especially if we learn to pay attention to them. Sometimes, as my wife says, her higher power has to beat her over the head with a frying pan to wake her up so she can see the synchronicities. But that's okay. Sometimes it has to take a big event for you to see it. But the more you do that, the more you see these things, the more aware you become of the synchronistic events around you. So I want to put on the board in conclusion, I want to write my definition that I came across and I really, really like. I think it's it's not a scientific meaning, it's a spiritual meaning of synchronicity. I'm going to take my paper first and I'll write it up anyway. Use my pen today. So synchronicity is spirit working in the background in the background without you being aware. Um, Health, spirit. That's my definition of it. I mean, over here first. You can see it best. Keep your camera on there just for a minute so they have anybody wants to write it down again. That's my definition of it. That's synchronicity is spirit working in the background without you being aware of help from spirit. Okay? Because we get help that we don't ever realize we're getting almost all the time. That's a lot of what intuition is about. That's what synchronicity is about. And there are many other things. There's a saying out there in certain places that says, God is doing for you what you cannot do for yourself. And he does that through synchronistic things. He does that through intuition. He also does it when things just happen and you say, I don't know how that happened. Okay, so synchronicity, intuition, and events that don't necessarily need other events to make it happen are all spirit working in the background without you being aware of the help from him. So that's my definition. I think that's a much better definition to me than the scientific method definition. And I think that it's very, very important that we realize that we are only one aspect, one fractal of the whole. And that there's a whole bunch of other fractals out there to guide us, to help us, to protect us, to teach us. They're all out there as other fractals doing their part of the work of the whole. And that's why because we're all part of the one, everything we do, doesn't matter whether you're a homemaker, a janitor, a CEO, we're all part of making the whole. It has to have all that, and nobody is more important than the other one. Nobody is lesser than the other one. And I want to make very, very clear that it takes everything in this world and in this universe to make it the way it is and the way it is supposed to be. There's no one person, one entity, one spirit that is higher or lower than the other. We are all part of the one. We all have to do our part. We aren't necessarily servants to, or helpers within. So we all help to make the whole. We're not necessarily being a servant to this spirit or that spirit. We are, maybe on earth, people think that we have to be the grunt of the workers to make everything work. But really, when we realize this, when we realize synchronicity is working, when we realize the spirit is helping us, we can then realize that no matter how low the other people think of us, we are as important as them, and we can be proud of what we've done, and we want to be able to do the best at everything we do. Whether it's coloring a coloring book, or whether it is creating a church, or whether it is doing washing the dishes at a restaurant, no matter what it is, we all have a place. And we can all be proud of what we're doing. We can all be understanding that we are all part of the whole and all this needs done. And it's just our purpose to do that particular thing. So you're no better than me, you're no worse than me. You are the same. That's why I don't stand up here in extravagant garb. I try to be a show that I am just the same as you are. That's why I don't do a lot of things that to make you put me on a pedestal, because I'm not to be put on a pedestal. I'm part of you. I'm part of the one, part of the whole, just as you are. So my helpers that are in here today do a very important job for me. And they're not doing it for me only, they're doing it for everybody. They're doing it for the whole, just as much as the street cleaner on the road is cleaning the streets. And he's going after the whole. So that's one of the things that we have to definitely be aware of as we go through this, especially in our daily lives when we get down and depressed, where we get down and feel lesser than, or whatever it is that happens. We can look back on this and say, no, I'm just as good as the next person. I'm still being guided by spirit. I'm still paying attention to the synchronistic things that are going on. And I have my purpose in this life. So with that said, do we have any comments or questions today? Okay, what do you say? None right now. Put more comments on the YouTube. Let us know what you think of this. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you wish. Share your experiences with us and give us ideas of what you might want us to cover. You know, and tell us about your experiences with synchronicity. Tell us how you feel you've been being guided. Tell us how spirit is working in your world that you were not aware of. With that said, be spiritual in everything you do and every day. Have a good week.